Okay, ladies and germs, what did we learn? Stick to your first instinct. Said, oh, I'm going to take a photo of these hands. Well, no, let me show you how I can do it without taking a photo. Look how awesome I am. And of course, I screwed it up. That hand was awful. Okay, so we'll draw the hands later. Let us go straight in here. And I notice I made these lines really thick. And I'm not concerned with that because I know that, for instance, this whole fist here is going to be the light source. So that's going to cast a shadow anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter that those lines are too thick. They will be fixed. Now, his brow is so thick and protruding and heavy that his eyes would be all in shadow. But let's cheat. Because I want to actually see some pupils here. Okay, and then, so again, we've got the thick brow here. We'll even have his eyebrow coming right out. And then thin little head, small little brain, and a Frankenstein haircut, which I can cut into later with some whiteout and put some highlights and stuff. For right now, it can just be a big dark blob. And once this is all cleaned up with the eraser, all of these pencil lines, which are competing right now with the ink lines and making it look like a mess, well, those, of course, are going to disappear, and only the lines that I want to keep will be kept, right? Who's messaging me? No one. Random email. Junk mail. Okay. Again, I'm being heavy with the lines where I know the shadows are going to fall, so I don't have to worry about about my line weight doing thick to thin. Everything underneath is going to have a heavier line. That's one thing I love about these brush markers, is that one can control the line weight just by how hard we, from really thick to super thin. See that? Just by how hard one presses. The anatomy here, for those of you who are anatomy professors, might notice that it's not perfect, and that is fine, because if it was perfect, it would be wrong, because it wouldn't look like the Hulk. All the muscles are still in the right place, essentially. They're just drawn in insane proportions. Okay. Lats here. I was on my way to the gym this morning, and all of a sudden I get a flat tire. First time that's ever happened, on my e-bike, no less. So I had to turn around, and there's no bus in this town. I mean, it leaves once an hour, and I was already late. I had to book in advance because of COVID, so it's just no way. So now I gotta wait for the e-bike store downstairs to open up and go up and see if it just, if it's a puncture, if they can just put a seal on it. If somehow the release on the valve was hit, which I hope, although I doubt, in which case the air was let out and there was no pop tire, and I won't have to buy a new tire. I can just fill it up again. But I doubt that. I doubt my luck is that good. Okay, he's not going to be naked. He's going to have his torn up purple pants. Okay, and there's some lines in here I'm going to have to cut out with the whiteout. Now here you'll notice I'm doing the lines quite thin because that's where the light is going to hit. And even here the line gets so thin that it stops. So this pencil line, which goes all the way up to here, is not going to exist, whereas on this side it will, because the light hits here, right? So you won't see that detail, but it casts shadow over here. It's like this whole area here, for instance, will probably be all shaded in, likely. Then nice thin line up here. Oh, and his pants, see now I forgot, they're torn. I'm really gonna have to use the whiteout. I think let's have them, because at this point they're kind of like shorts, right? So let's have them here. Now normally this would be things that I resolve in the pencil stage. I wouldn't be resolving them in the inks. But I just feel that people's attention span, mine included, aren't, let's see if we're still running, people's attention span it's not quite there when it comes to watching a video of me drawing the Hulk for like 3 hours, right? So like I say, if this was for a client, I would have all of these issues, like every possible issue that I could run into would all be resolved before I get to the ink. And I mean, like, the inks would basically just be me tracing the pencils. That would be all it would be, because all the work would have been done in the ink stage. And it makes for you know, a cleaner, tighter sketch, but not quite as fun. And it certainly wouldn't be interesting to the viewer. As interesting anyway, even if this is interesting to you. Okay, I think we got everything that we need, minus the hands and the shadows. So why don't we pause the video right here while I take photos of my hands and erase the pencil lines. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because, watch, if I erase the pencil lines, watch what happens to the camera. It gets all shaky, and no one's going to want to see that. You'll get vertigo. So I'm just going to erase these, take photos of my hands, microwave a cup of coffee, and then draw the hands, slap down some shadows, and we're done. So I'll be right back. And we're back with the magic of editing. Not much time passed for you, but I have had a chance here to clean up the pencil lines. Let's bring this up. By that I mean erase them and take photos of my hands. So let us get into that right now. All I do is I go to Gallery, Recent Photos, there we go. That is your friendly neighborhood master of shenanigans. And we're gonna see now, it's kind of good that I butchered this hand the first time, because now the imprint of it is still there. And it was too big before, so now, by being able to see the underdrawing, I know not to repeat those same mistakes. My philosophy, call it pirated from Bob Ross, but there are no such things as mistakes. I'm not going to go so far as to say only happy accidents, because, you know, that if it isn't, it should be trademarked. But I will say that every mistake is something that you learn from. That we all of us make mistakes. And what do? Do we double down and pretend it wasn't a mistake and keep going? Or do we learn? And those of us who make mistakes all the time, like myself, know not to judge too harshly when others make mistakes. Depends on what they do after. Okay, that hand is much smaller now, and it is workable because it's a little too small, but guess what? Here come the inks to save the day. Boy, I'm really stealing. I have Mighty Mouse royalties now. And I'm going to go ahead and, as I draw this, with the ink, you guessed it, enlarge everything. The cleverness of me. Now that is a Peter Pan ripoff, but I've been saying it for so long that I get to say that I thought of it, even if it is a lie. Who invented Peter Pan? William Barry? Barry William? Wasn't Barry William Greg Brady? Did he invent Peter Pan? These are the things that keep me up at night. There we go. Hand's a bit bigger, a bit mangled, which is cool, which I like. Now we'll erase the pencil lines on the hand, and you'll see what I mean, how the camera gets a bit shaky here. There we go. It'll settle down. It'll calm down. It's like me with way too much coffee. I get a little shaky, but I'll eventually calm down too. Okay, hand numero deux. Gallery, yeah, I know we're on that one. Oh, here we go. Okay. If I was one of these guys that didn't make mistakes, I would just draw this directly with the ink and not bother with the pencils. But I fear there's not enough whiteout in the world for Darren Emond and his mistakes. But hey, if it wasn't for mistakes, some of us wouldn't even be here, right? Oh, that was a touch mean. Okay, now this hand, you will notice that the opposite has happened. It's actually just a touch too big. So should I erase it and start over? No! Should I just thin it down in the ink? Yes. Here we go. And again, the great thing about the Hulk is that he's such a ridiculously oversized character that it's not supposed to look right. You know I made that point earlier, but it's one of the things I love about drawing monster type characters. I really, really hope that no one, and of course now that I've said it, everybody will, but no one asks me to draw a Superman. I just cannot draw that guy. I mean, he is just, first of all, if I'm going to do a head sketch, it's just a head. I mean, except for the spit curl, there's nothing that really makes it Superman. And, you know, he's not a mask character. But secondly, he's just so clean-cut and perfect, and I just can't draw him. I like, you know, characters with kind of defects to them that I can exaggerate to make them look creepy and weird. And, I mean, that's what I appreciate in life, right? Okay, and again, a little bit of a shaky cam here, and just imagine you're watching a fight scene in the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I love that movie, but I'm just like, God, keep the camera steady. Okay, and there we go. We got big Hulk mitts. And now, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my whiteout, which I should have had at the ready, but that's okay because I always have art supplies near to hand, and a pencil case right over there. Got to play a little bit of cleanup, which means that, for instance, on these are pants, and we don't just want to have a jagged line going across his leg. We want this to actually look like pants. So we'll clean that up, and then of course we're going to draw some deep shadows underneath it. There we go. Now it looks like he's actually wearing pants, so we got to clean up in here. So again, I'd only really use whiteout for like special effects, different white on black effects. Had I penciled this, like had I been really, really tight in my pencils, is what I mean to say here. But in this case, I went straight to inks with some fairly loose pencils, so the whiteout becomes an eraser. And in fact, I don't know what the heck is happening here, but that neck muscle is all wrong. So let's just get rid of it and we'll redraw that entirely. So while we are waiting for the whiteout to dry, let's do our shadows. And shadows, as you know, light source, let's say, is going to be this fist, and everything that falls away from it is going to be in heavy, heavy shadows. So